Hello and welcome to this week's video. My name is Anuska Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you to those of you who've been following me for a while. Welcome. Before I get into today's video, I mentioned it briefly at the end of last week's video, but my new website is now live, anuskataylor.com. If you haven't yet seen it, please go and have a look. I have had a holding page up for a few months. You may or may not have noticed. So please go and check it out. Now, everything is on that, all the links for everything, all my offerings, online courses, private coaching, everything, and a little bit more about my unique approach to coaching as well, because I'm not a normal voice coach, for want of a better expression. So today, what we are going to talk about is what is the quality of your day-to-day speaking voice and why that matters. So maybe when it comes to an important meeting or presentation or keynote or podcast or interview, you might give your voice a little bit more thought. You might think, maybe there's something I can do to project or articulate more clearly, or just be a bit more expressive when I speak. But do you give that same care and attention to your voice on a day-to-day basis? I would hazard a guess that the answer is no. Now, this isn't to beat yourself up, it's just we're all human. And for most of us, we kind of do what is necessary, and that's kind of it. But what I'd like to invite you to start to see is the quality of your voice on a day-to-day basis is going to impact the quality and expressiveness of your voice in these more elevated, important voice situations, like a big presentation, like a keynote, like a meeting that's really important to you, like an interview, podcast, whatever. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, because when you think about it, when you're speaking, let's say the average person, I'm just making this up, you're going to be speaking at least 10, 12 plus hours a day. Now, not continuously, of course, maybe, but you're going to be speaking on and off for 10 to 12 hours a day to friends, to family, to your pets, to your peers, to whoever. Now, that is your kind of baseline voice. So if you are spending 10 to 12 hours a day, pulling your voice back into your throat, not really articulating, breathing really shallow, not really fully utilizing your voice, then that is a massive jump to go from that to using your voice in a more elevated version for presentations and for meetings and for pitches and for keynotes, etc. So the day-to-day function of your voice is going to impact what's possible for your voice in a more elevated scenario. So start to look at what is the quality of my voice on a day-to-day basis. Now, again, this is not about beating yourself up. This initially is an awareness exercise. So at the end of your average day, and this is not where you've got any particularly important meeting or presentation, but in your average day, how does your voice feel? Does it feel tired? And you might also have a better gauge of how it sounds, but it depends on how aware you are. So either go for the feeling or the sound of your voice, or both. Does it feel tired, or does it sound tired? Does it sound croaky, raspy? Do you find you run out of breath when you're speaking, just day to day? Is it strained? Is there a lot of constriction and tension? Do you feel like you've got to push your voice out? Or do you find that you just swallow your sound all day long and people are always saying, can you speak up? Can you repeat that? You mumble your sound. The articulation, the diction is not clear. So how does your voice show up on a day-to-day basis? Because that is the foundation of what's going to be possible for you then when you come to want to bring a more elevated version of your voice. If you pull your voice back into your throat, as an example, and mumble and don't really articulate particularly clearly, there's no power, there's no energy in the voice, it's going to be a big, big jump for you, both emotionally and physically, to then go to projecting to a room full of people, to bringing more animation, melody, and expression into your voice. And what I say to people all the time is the goal with voice coaching, the goal with my voice coaching anyway, I can't speak for everyone else, but the goal with my voice coaching is to help you find a optimal functional level of your voice, to get your voice really working at its most healthy, open, free, and expressive place on a day-to-day basis. And then you having the tools and the ability at will to either crank it up in terms of expression and volume and dynamics, or maybe you're having a very vulnerable sort of heart-to-heart conversation with someone, and you might want to speak a little bit quieter, a little bit softer. But you have the ability, like you're one of those kind of old school CD players, where you can turn the dials up and turn the dials down. You have the ability, because you really understand your voice and know how it works, to either turn it all up or turn it down, depending on what you're doing, versus I just wing it, essentially. I don't really know what's going to come out, and I just sort of try and figure it out as I go. So the day-to-day function of your voice is absolutely essential. And it might be a bit challenging to start to think about this. It might be, you might start to hear or feel things. You're like, oh, actually, that does not feel good. Because that's one of the things I notice for a lot of people I work with. In our first consult, I will ask them lots of questions about their voice, and they might say, oh, no, it's all fine. It's all fine. And then I'll be like, so did that feel good, what you just did? As an example, maybe there was a bit of reaching or pushing their voice. And then when I actually bring their awareness and their attention to it, they're like, no, actually, that didn't feel good. But I guess if that's been your normal state of speaking, even that discomfort has been normalized. So start to think about and start to become aware of your day-to-day voice. Start to notice at the end of each working day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, just start to pay attention. How does my voice feel? Are there patterns to how my voice feels? Is it always tired at the end of the week? I've worked with many teachers over the years and lecturers, and I've heard many a time from that group of people who are speaking for long periods of time that they will often say to me, by the time they get home, they don't want to speak because their voice is tired. So there are ways, and this is the thing, if you are not optimally using your voice, by the time you get to the end of the day, it is going to be tired. If your day-to-day speaking is not optimal, it is going to be tired. It is going to be exhausted. You are probably going to pull your voice back. It is going to sound raspy and croaky. So again, this is not about judging yourself. This is about awareness. And all I would say is it does not have to be like that. You can find your day-to-day voice can be really free, open, and expressive. And then when you choose to kind of crank it up for a bigger meeting or bigger presentation, and you want to bring more energy, you want to bring more aliveness to your voice, you can, but you also can turn it down, dial it down if you're having a more vulnerable, heartfelt conversation, maybe on a one-on-one basis. So it's about choice. Everything that I do with clients is about you having conscious control as much as possible over your voice and having a choice with how you show up, versus letting the patterns, the conditioning, the programming, the habits of 10, 20, 30 years of speaking be running the show. But I promise you, you can find a very healthy, well-functioning voice as your baseline voice, regardless of accent. And then you can learn how to dial it up and dial it down. So if this has been of interest for you, if you start to do this exercise and you're like, no, my voice is not feeling good, it does not sound good on a day-to-day basis, check out my brand new website, go to the Work With Me page. There's lots of options on there. I have also a digital voice coach option where you can send me a 90-second audio of you speaking if you don't want me to see you. And I will give you some personalized feedback in a video. So we don't have to have a call. I will just give you some feedback. I can tell a lot by the sound quality of your voice. So there's a lot I can hear, but if you want something even more personalized, even more powerful and impactful, then private voice coaching is really the Rolls Royce of this process, because it's tailored to you, it's tailored to your voice, your goals, where you're at, and I guide you every step of the way in an 8-month container. So everything is on my website. Go to the Work With Me page, have a look. If you can't find what you're looking for, or you're still not sure, feel free to reach out. There's also a contact page there as well. I would love to help you. I would love to answer any of your questions. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give me a like, share, and leave a comment. Thank you so much, and I will see you on next week's video.